You gotta get up. But did me wake up and make a move, oh. 'Cause the world will never see you until you do. They don't really care, see they do you, oh. So make you show them, baby. Oh yeah, show them the real you. Oh yeah, show them what you get. No, 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 don't let them say what you not, I want you strong, oh. You can't break, no. You want more than 1,000 reasons why. You don't need to perfect, baby. 'Cause nobody perfect, darling. No, 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 there's nobody in the world will be like you. What do you do when you can't let go? What do you do when you just don't know how you feel? And you know, say nobody feel your pain. Everybody running for race, not day by day with a struggle. For this world, you know you must do hustle. Just know that you're not alone. I'll bet it no need for you to the form and to need your trial. You see, it's okay to ask for help. People go find you, but them not define you. And you'll find people who go help redesign you. People go find you, but them not define you. And you go find people who go help redesign you. See, you are a work of art, but you didn't think you come this far. Now here you are. Oh, are you strong? Oh, you get brain, no. See, you want beyond 1,000 reasons why. Oh, you don't need to perfect, baby. 'Cause nobody perfect, darling. No, 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 there's nobody in the world will be like you. Nobody perfect, baby, oh. Everybody just a package. Them just a package. Everybody gets their go big, so you gotta press your own go big. Nobody go carry them for you. You gotta get up, baby, and make a move.
Hello and welcome to the Touch Cell show with Toyi and the gang. This is your one and only online series and also a radio series that we talk about experiences with sickle cell and means that which can empower you to be better people living with sickle cell. And this production is brought to you by Sickle Cell Advocacy and Management Initiative and is supported by the Public Affairs section of the U.S. Consulate. Now, today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. This is the COVID-19 period, and we know there are a lot of challenges during this COVID-19. And people with sickle cell have a pre-existing conditions and are under the people who are vulnerable as well as elderly when it comes to being with having challenges with COVID-19 and the chances of you catching it more than somebody else. And today we're going to bringing you a special guest who is Kehinde Salami. I'll bring him on in a minute to share his story about how he happened to get the COVID-19 virus, or coronavirus as we call it. And we'll be sharing experiences on how he was able to overcome it and survive it. And you know, I also wanted to even find out, because there's this thing that they said, oh, people with sickle cell overcome it better than regular people. Is it true? Or is it just a chance thing of, you know, the grace of God or whatever that we'll be able to overcome it? So we'll be talking about this and more. So I'll bring on our guest right at the moment.
Hi everybody.
Hello.
Hiya.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Hi. How are you? Can you hear
I'm
me?
very well. Thank you. Yes, I can hear you, although a bit low, but I believe I
Okay,
can hear you
I'll bring
to
it
a
further.
large extent. Yeah.
Okay,
No
that's fine.
problem. No problem. So, before we start, can you just tell us a bit about yourself? I want our audience to get to know who Kehinde Salami is.
All right. My name's Kainde Salami. I'm an advocate. I also work for the NHS. So I work for the NHS in regards to
Oh,
recruiting more black blood donors to basically to save lives of sickle cell warriors and other people within our community that are in need of the blood. I also am a youth worker and a mentor as well. And I also have my own sickle cell charities as well in regards
okay.
to raising awareness and supporting children, families, and parents affected by sickle cell disease.
Okay, that's good. So it's even interesting that you work with NHS.
Yeah.
Really, that's nice. For those of us who don't know, Kehinde is located in UK. Where in parts of UK are you?
I'm based in London, so Sydenham in the
Okay,
UK. Yeah.
all
Close
right.
to.
Okay then. So, how can you share about what your life has been even before the COVID, before we get down to the COVID-19, as a warrior, the challenges, the positives, what it has been living with sickle cell? I know in UK, of course, healthcare is a bit better than here.
A lot better.
Where did you have you always lived in UK or you relocated
Actually,
at one time?
I was born in Lagos,
Oh,
Nigeria.
really?
So
So
I was
you've
born. I was
experienced
born.
the Nigerian
Yeah, I was born in
side of
Nigeria.
things.
I was I was brought here when I was 4 years old. Actually, was it yeah
Okay,
4 or 5? My
okay.
parents moved me to the UK, and the funny thing about my experience with sickle cell is that I didn't know I had sickle cell until I was in my
Wow.
20s. So, but it was something
Really?
my parents never talked about, and I think it's due to the stigma surrounding
Yeah.
sickle cell disease itself. So it was a thing where whenever I talked about it, I always had the sickle cell pains when I was younger, but I thought it was down to just growing up and that everybody had the same pains as me. So,
Mm.
you know, it was not until I was in university, I was in Manchester for university, and I woke up in crippling pain, and then I went to the hospital, and they told me that I had sickle cell. I didn't know what it was, so I had to do a lot of research in myself, and I think it was like by luck that I survived till now because I wasn't on no medication, I was on no treatment, so
Mm.
and the fact that I only had minor pains, even though there was times where I'd be sick, but I just thought it was just me growing up being sick. So I had to basically embark on my awareness journey and support journey in my 20s. So it wasn't something that I had
Mm.
growing up. So
Yeah.
it took, so I just thought as if, I need to use this as a tool to, to get everybody else clued up and to, because one thing about sickle cell is that there's a stigma in regards to speaking and
Yes.
talking about the condition. So I just thought I need to address that basically.
Yeah.
Because in the days, I've got a daughter that also has sickle cell disease. So if it's not for me, it's for the future generation coming up now. And also, there are projects that I want to do in Nigeria. There's been certain politics for the government. They've stopped me from coming over to do projects. But however, I want to bring back what I learned, my skills and expertise to actually educate and help support those warriors in Nigeria in regards because I know you don't have the same healthcare service that we have. So
Yeah.
it's a passion of mine to come back to my country of birth, my home, and actually, help others that are not as fortunate as me when it comes to living with a condition.
Exactly. That's good.
Yeah.
But let me go back to when you found out. How did you feel? I mean, after all these years, and just get this shock that you have sickle cell.
It was a thing where they first said I had cancer. So they did a few
Wow.
tests and they said, oh, you've got cancer, you've got stomach cancer. So because it's similar to cancer in regards to how it affects you, sickle cell. So,
Mm.
and then I think a week later, they told me that I do have sickle cell, and I was prepared for them to say that I just have cancer. But then I came back and they said, no, it's not cancer. You've got a rare condition called sickle cell disease. I was asking the doctor all sorts of questions. He didn't know the answer to my questions. So I thought, if he doesn't know, then I need to educate myself. So I
Yeah.
went back home, educated myself. And by the time I came back for another appointment, I knew more than a doctor in regards to my condition. So I just thought as if it can't have been like 2 weeks worth of study. And I know already more than a doctor that's supposed to be treating me. So I made it my mission to raise awareness. I moved back down to London, and that's where I started kicking everything. I started basically kicking down doors and saying, "This is what needs to be done. Let me create my own organization and let me support those in need." So it's been a journey and a half, because from not knowing to knowing and actually relatively embarking on my awareness myself quite late in my 20s. That was about what, 15, 16 years ago. So it's been a revelation to me, but however, not to the point where I knew there wasn't awareness in the UK and in Africa. Like, I started posting on social media about 7 years ago, and the fact that there wasn't anybody, I was one of the first in the UK to have my own platform to give people a voice to talk about sickle cell, and then hearing my stories and getting people from Nigeria reaching out to me as well. Nigeria, Ghana, the Caribbean, and even India and Australia reaching out to me. So for me, that's where I knew that there's more work need to be done in regards to the awareness, actually educating people, especially in Nigeria, because there's still stigma in regards to thinking that people are cursed. And my thing is, we have to realize that sickle cell came to be as our protection against malaria. The sickle cell trait, there are some people that carry the sickle cell trait that have an immunity to malaria. So it was brought into existence as nature's way to shield us from a devastating condition that was rampaging through sub-Saharan Africa. And this is what our way of protecting ourselves from malaria. However, due to gene mutation and evolution, it basically evolved to the sickle cell, the full-blown sickle cell condition, where two people that both have the condition, they can have a baby that has full-blown sickle cell. So it's about awareness, family planning. I will never ever advocate to tell anybody who they can marry, who they can be in a relationship with, which I think that is where awareness is centered, to telling people that if you know someone that has AA, or if you both have TWAIT, you can't be together. My issue is that's not the message that I want to bring out. The message that I want to bring out is no. So if it comes to the eventuality that you do have a child with sickle cell disease, then you know what to do, because medication and stuff has improved from 50 years ago. So you can have sickle cell and you can live a relatively normal life. And I have a daughter that's testament that she's not been in hospital as once. Only time she was in hospital was when she was a baby. Since she's 8 years old now, she lives a perfectly normal life. As in, she's never in hospital. So my issue is, it's all about being prepared, have the structure in place.
Exactly, the proper health care.
Yeah, because one thing that I do not advocate, is telling people do not do this because we know your child will suffer. You don't know, you can't predict the future. But however, what we can do is actually, because part of that message is silencing people that do have sickle cell disease. It's alienating a bunch of people, saying that, well, they're not going to date me because there's a stigma attached to it. I want to eliminate that. My message is about education. My message is about, if you know the risks and you do still choose to go there, there are certain things you can do to protect yourself, to ensure that your child lives a better life. But however, I do understand there's different healthcare systems in Nigeria. But however, my message is still the same and clear, that I will not dictate to people to say, don't do this, don't do that. It's about, here's the information, here's what's out there available to support, and here's what we can do to live a better lifestyle. So that's my message in regards to awareness, sickle cell, dating, relationships. Like I said before, I've got a child that has sickle cell. So the mother of my children, she carries the trait, and I have full-blown sickle cell. But we have two children. I have one child that carries the trait and one child that has full-blown sickle cell. But however, they live a relatively normal life. So my life experience with sickle cell, I know there's been times where I've been in hospital, but however, I live a relatively normal life when it comes to my sickle cell as well. So we cannot predict the future. We cannot assume that people that do have the condition are going to suffer. Right. That's not the case. So, that's my voice, as in regards to awareness and the message that I make it clear. My message is about awareness, educating, and support. It's not about telling people what they can and what they can't do. And that's the message that I want to bring to Africa as well in regards to that space.
Yeah.
And I was
going to go there, because there's a catch-22 of some group of people who believe there should be some, will I call it criminalization of, if you
Here we go.
It's very controversial. I don't know. That is not the topic, but I was glad. But people always have this perception that because it's outside of Nigeria, they can easily say that Nigerian experience is different. We are the highest burden in the world, and la di da and all that stuff. So it's good that you are able to say that. And I always have to find a situation where we have to remind people that it started, as you said, out of a mutation in malaria and all that. And it's when I talk to people about sickle cell, I said you can reduce, but you cannot eradicate. And I always use this adage that have you been able to get rid of malaria? That the minute you get rid of malaria, you can come back to me and say we can eradicate sickle cell. So anyway, enough of those challenges. Let's talk about your experience with getting the coronavirus or COVID-19 as we call it. How did you get it and how did you find out? Because I mean that must have been another shock to your system, if I would say.
The thing with corona, to me personally, I was already at home because we was told to stay at home, that those are vulnerable that have sickle cell. So to me it's I don't know how I got it, but however there's been one case where I did venture out and I went to do some food shopping and I came back. However, that was minimal. I wasn't near anybody. I wasn't in anybody's vicinity for anybody to breathe on me. I was protected in regards to I wasn't touching any services. So for me, it's a mystery. But however, I got it somehow, even though I was at home and I only ventured out once. So for me, it's a mystery. But however, what I would say is that it's something that progressively came. As in the first week, I had a sore throat, and then I wasn't feeling too well. I had a headache, and then progressively in the second week, my health went downhill. As in I was vomiting, fainting, loss of appetite. I had a fever, but yet I was cold. So even though I was burning up, I was shivering. So I was shivering. I was sleeping. I was sweating through my bed sheets. I had to sleep on the floor. Woke up in puddles of sweat on the floor. So I called the ambulance, and I just said the final straw was when I tried to brush my teeth, and I just vomited. I just vomited so much. Vomit came out. So I just thought, you know what? If I don't do something, I could die, because I can see when you know something's wrong with you, you can tell deeply. Yeah. So I realized that this wasn't just a sickle cell crisis, because most of my sickle cell crisis, I know the dynamics of a sickle cell crisis. I knew it was something else that was triggering several different crises in my body. So when I called the ambulance, waited for about an hour for the ambulance to come because they were so short-staffed. They were dealing with so many cases, COVID-19. By the time the ambulance came, they took my temperature, told me to put on a mask to protect themselves as well as me. I went to the hospital. As soon as I got in the hospital, it was a situation where they didn't know. So it was a thing where I was on strong antibiotics. I was on fluids, and they gave me some very strong pain relief. So they treated me. They said that when I went to the hospital that I had a sickle cell crisis. I had pneumonia as well on top of a sickle cell crisis. And so I was dealing with that. But they weren't too sure whether I had COVID-19 or not on top of that as well. So they did the tests. They did an X-ray, chest X-ray of my lungs and everything, because they knew that it does affect your breathing and your lungs. And they told me that my lungs, the X-ray came back and they said your lungs, it looks as if you've got stage 4 cancer. That's how bad your lungs looks. Yeah, that's how bad COVID has ravaged your lungs, because it looks as if there's so much infection in your lungs. So, but they gave me back the results a day later, and they said, yeah, you do have COVID-19. You have COVID, sickle cell, and you suffer from pneumonia as well. So I had all three at once. They said that it's a miracle that you are still alive, because when they did my heart rate and my temperature, they thought the machines were not working properly. So they had to do it by hand. And because they didn't believe what the machine was telling them, because they said that no one alive would have these stats at all. You should not be alive with these stats at this moment in time. That was second day. But however, by the night time, I miraculously improved. By the third day, I improved. I was on my phone. I was tweeting. I was on social media.
Wow.
So it was like as if nothing happened to me. And compared to the other people that was on the ward, as in people were on ventilators, people needing help to breathe, people
Mm.
very, very poorly compared to me. I'm smiling. I'm happy. It was like, I don't know what it was, but it was miraculous. And on that same day, they discharged me. So they gave me some medication. They gave me a mask, and they were like, we don't understand how you recovered so quickly in a short space of time. I was told to isolate when I got home, isolate for 14 days. And from then, I've just made recovery after recovery. It's been, I think, about 2.5 months now since I've been in hospital with it. And I don't know how I recovered so quickly. I don't know, but maybe they say that because I'm strong and my body just wants to fight it. But for me, I would say in the midst of it, it was. I don't wish this on anybody because
Mm.
it was like my body was on fire, but yet I was under a block of cold ice.
Wow.
Plus, every organ in my body was just screaming, as in everything was just pounding me. It felt as if my heart was jumping out of my chest. My lungs were filled with water. It just felt as if I was drowning from the inside. So I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And I would also say that in regards to sickle cell warriors, it's not the case that we recover quickly. It's normally the case that it takes us months upon months to recover from a condition like this. That's the
Mm.
normality of sickle cell and COVID. It's if you have sickle cell and you have COVID-19, the reality of you making that out
Wow.
it's not very high. But what I will say from my experience is not impossible. It's
Mm.
not impossible at all. As in, there's been lots of success stories. I know a lot
Yes.
of people that have sickle cell disease that have had COVID as well, and they've made recovery after recovery. But I will say, please, please, if you do have sickle cell, you are part of the vulnerable, and you are more likely, if under continued exposure, you're more likely to see the rougher side of COVID-19. So I implore to my fellow warriors in Nigeria, across the world, to just stay at home, shield yourself, and protect yourself and your families. And if in case you have the first signs, because my thing is, I waited a bit before I went to hospital. I'll say, don't wait till you're fully in total organ or body shutdown. First signs, headaches, pains, cough, sore throat, go see a medical doctor practitioner and get that sorted straight away, because the earlier you get treatment, the more likely that you're going to recover
Yeah.
from COVID-19 as well.
Okay. So in total, how many days did you spend in the isolation center?
I was in hospital. I was in 3 different wards, so they sent me to
Oh,
the
really?
first ward was the testing ward where they didn't know you had.
Okay.
The first ward was accident emergency, so that was
Okay.
admission. They put me to accident emergency, and from then they test you. They see how you are to see whether you can go home the same day. From then they put you into another ward, which is a ward where it's an isolation ward, but it's not a COVID ward. It's a ward where they think you have COVID, but they're going to keep you there anyway, just to ensure that you don't infect the rest of the population of the hospital. So they segregate you into a ward, and then
Yeah.
once you get your test results to say that you do have COVID-19, they put you to a specific COVID ward with other COVID
Okay.
patients, because with having COVID, you're not going to catch it from anybody else because you've got it already. So there's no risk of you catching a severe case of COVID if you've got it already. So it's safe for you to be in a ward with other COVID patients. So I was in the intermediate ward for about one day. I was in the COVID ward for about a day and a half until they said that I'm well enough to go home.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
So did you find they were having to treat you for your sickle cell crisis and the COVID-19 at the same time? You,
I feel as if it was more
you said
geared
you
towards
just generally
geared towards the COVID-19.
COVID.
Definitely.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
they ignored most of my sickle cell symptoms. They just classed it down as COVID is triggering your sickle cell crisis. If you deal with the COVID, then your sickle cell crisis will go away. I didn't get my normal sickle cell medication, even though they gave me
Really?
some. I didn't get
Wow.
my normal, the ones that they gave me. I didn't get the regular the fluids. They just
Really?
gave me the general treatment for COVID-19 with some sickle cell treatment as well. So for me, I don't think that was the right procedure, because if I have a crisis, well, then you treat me for the crisis, sickle cell,
Mhm.
and you treat me for COVID, and you treat me for the pneumonia, all three at once.
Mhm.
But I feel as if they treat me for the pneumonia and the COVID simultaneously, but they bypass the sickle cell stuff as well.
Okay.
But to me, it's fine. I didn't want to be in hospital anyway. I didn't want to be in a place where I was surrounded by death, because my
Yeah.
experience of being in that COVID ward was grim. As in, I saw
Yeah.
people, being told that they're going to be put in a coma because their body's not responding to treatment. So we're going to
Wow.
put you in a coma to ensure that it's a less burden on you, so that we can help your body fight. I saw people crying at night because they couldn't breathe. So it's a situation where, like I said before, and these were not sickle cell patients. These were just normal people that
Mm.
have COVID. These were people that have COVID-19, and
Yeah.
I was put in a ward with just general COVID patients. So I would say I'm fortunate to know that I didn't suffer as badly as I could, but
Mhm.
seeing all that was just, to me, it was traumatic in that aspect where I'm feeling 100% better, but then being surrounded by all of this around you, I'm thinking, wow, this could have been me. So I was happy with the fact that I recovered quickly and I was able to go home as soon as possible in regards to that. But in regards to going through it, the worst of it, trust me, you don't want to go through it. I've had numerous sickle cell crises in my life. This COVID, it was just something different. It was 100 times worse than any sickle cell crisis I've ever been through. So I would say be careful, stay safe, please. Everybody, stay safe, and ensure that you practice social distancing in
Mm.
regards to your health and your family's health as well. Because we've got to remember that if you do get COVID, you are contagious up
Yeah.
until 14 days. So protect yourself and protect your family. Like until now, I still haven't seen my kids because I just want to ensure that I'm totally COVID free. I want to get that
Yeah.
test. I want to get that test to say that, even though I know I'm no risk, I want that official test to say that I don't have COVID-19, which should be happening soon. So it's just the risk of my kids, my children, my daughter that has sickle cell as well. I don't want to ever to go through what I went through in regards to that
Mhm.
aspect.
So how did you cope mentally? Because you're talking about your experience in the center. Did you find that your experience with sickle cell helped you handle the situation a bit more?
To a certain extent, yes, because in regards to my experience with sickle cell, I normally deal with it by myself anyway. It's a thing where I rarely go to hospital unless it's a really bad crisis episode. So, and when it came to isolation, I've been by myself for the past almost 3 months now. So I've been in. It's only just recently I've been going out for walks. So it's something that I normally do when it comes to sickle cell, because my sickle cell crisis, if I do go through a sickle cell crisis, it can tend to last from an hour to about 2 weeks, and I'm used to dealing with it by myself in regards to isolation, wait until my body recovers. But this was a different one because I couldn't see or touch anybody for the fear that I could pass it on to them. Normally, when I go through a sickle cell crisis, it's self-contained. So if anybody
Mm-hmm.
wants to come and see me, they can come see me. They can come and check up on me. But this was a different experience because I knew that I could put other people's in jeopardy, lives at risk. So
Yeah.
it was the thing where I was forced to be to isolate for the fear of passing it to anybody else. So it's different from choosing to be like, you know what, this is how I deal with my sickle cell. Let me shield myself from the world and let them not see me weak. But
Mm.
this aspect was just weird because it was a thing where it was the choice was taken away from me. It was a thing where you have to self isolate. You have to not see people. You
Mm.
can't see your kids. You can't see family. You can't see your parents because my parents are like in their 60s now. You can't see them because older people, they're more
Yeah.
vulnerable, so
Yeah.
they get COVID worse. So I couldn't see my sisters because my younger sister has sickle cell as well, and my middle sister, she has rheumatoid arthritis. So it's a
Oh.
thing where they're vulnerable as well. I couldn't see them as well, and it's been very hard mentally for me to deal with it. But however, because of the fact that I am an advocate for sickle cell, I am a youth worker, and I also advocate positive change. That's
Mm-hmm.
been some kind of relief in regards to my mental state. But I'm not gonna lie, I've had issues where being cramped at home, has affected me, where I've been like, you know what, I need to get out, I need to get some
Yeah.
fresh air, I need to be outside, I need to do something. So it's been tough. It's been, you know, a rough ride. But however, due to the fact that in the UK they're lifting these quarantine procedures, I'm able to go to the supermarket now. I'm able to take walks. I'm able to go and get a takeaway if need be. So I'm glad that everything is lifted now. But I would say if it lasted another 3 to 4 months, I don't think I would be mentally there
Mm.
because this, you know, we're not meant to be inside for long periods of time
No,
for our own
no.
safety. We're meant to be outside. We're meant to be taking in this vitamin D from the sun. We're meant to be, you know, experiencing what life is about. So being in a confined space is going to have a negative effect on you mentally. So I do agree in that aspect. It did have a negative effect on me because my worst fear was not being able to see my kids and not being able to relate to them, and that was the toughest thing for me, especially not
Mm.
being there, you know, for my kids and, you know, my family members as well.
Okay, so talking about your family members, how did they cope during this period? I'm sure it must have been challenging for them.
Yeah, well, in regards to the case of the mother of my children, my kids, we're not together anymore. So it was a
Okay.
thing where, even though she's married, you know, with someone
Mhm.
else, so it was a thing where she was able to, she had a husband and my kids and his kids as well.
Mhm.
So they were pretty much stable. They were solid. Everything was all right from my end, from their end. But from my end, I was unable. I didn't have nobody. So it was a thing where
Mhm.
I couldn't see my kids. I couldn't even FaceTime them because I was, let's just say I was worse for wear, as in I wasn't looking good. I was, you know, COVID really did have an effect on me physically and
Yeah.
mentally. So it was a thing where I wasn't even mentally prepared to see them for a period of time or talk to them because I had to get myself correct. Um, yeah. So for me, the hardest part was knowing that as a man, you are vulnerable. This has made me
Mhm.
vulnerable in regards to um, everything, and knowing that we there's no support structures, especially for black men, in regards to COVID. So there was no support. There was nothing there there was nobody that I could talk to. My parents would check in here and then, but they couldn't actually empathize as to what I was going through. There
Mhm.
was no one I could reach out to in regards to that. But what I will say is that I was able to articulate what I'm saying on social media. So I got a lot of support through friends, via the internet, which was good. I was able to tell my story to different various outlets as well through the UK
Mhm.
media, and I was able to basically help with work as well in regards to dealing with the COVID situation as well. So these are things that helped me gradually, but yeah, I would say that please, warriors, yeah, ensure that you have a family member or people to talk to because this is rough. You're going through so much pain, and it's not even just the pain; it's the recovery period as well, which will be a testing period because there's going to be a period where you've gone over the worst year, but however, you still can't see people because you have to follow the quarantine period, and it's just that period of time where you have to ensure that you have a network of people that are willing to support you that you can talk to, and I advocate for that because talking offers so much relief. Not even just talking, either writing, emailing, texting,
Yeah.
you know, voice, sending voice notes. For me, it was a huge relief. It took a huge burden off me to know that these feelings are not kept inside me. They're able to come out to ensure that there's no negative feelings lingering inside me. So I feel as if communication avenues, opening up communication avenues with people that you trust. You know, it could be friends, it could be family, and
Mhm.
also to engage in regards to how you're dealing with it, in regards to so you can offer tips to people who are going through it as well or are scared. Like for example, because I've had COVID and I do have sickle cell disease, I had a lot of warriors coming to me to say, "What's the likelihood if I do have COVID? Am I going to die?" And I'm like, it's, for me, it's the I'm not going to say you're going to die. Not at all. I can't predict the future. But what I will say is that these are the steps that you need to take in case you do have it. Now, these are the signs to watch out for. Um, yeah, to advocate social distances. I understand there's a lot of people that saying, "Well, I can't social distance. I've got family." I'm like, well, there's ways that you can do that. You know, make sure you have a specific room in the house that you stay in. Make sure that you wash your hands, cleanliness. Make sure you keep clean. There's talk. Make sure you communicate as well. Don't just box yourself in and think that what it's my problem. 9 out of 10 times it's not just your problem. It's your family's problem as well, because
Yeah.
they're not going to be they're going to be seeing you going through this. They're going to be cut off from you, and I would say just communicate. Definitely, that's the one thing I would say. Going through this, make sure you communicate your feelings. Make sure you don't channel your emotions internally. Okay.
Yeah.
And also ensure that you can actually give advice and tips to people that are going through the same thing as well. Exchange of information and tips.
Okay. All right. So at this point, we'll take some questions. If you have any questions, please pick them up. Thank you, Channel, for Aprili Habib, Princess Adenike, Yomi. Thank you for coming on. If we have any questions before I do my final round of questions, let's so in the meantime, okay, we're talking about steps. You mentioned some things, because I know here in Nigeria, people, like a lot of especially young adults with sickle cell, they're sort of independent. We have in a society that the parents feel you've reached a certain age, go and look after yourself. So they all have to hustle for themselves, take care of their health. Some of them struggle, and then trying to tell them to self-isolate, they're like, okay, I have to go to make some money. I have to go to the market. I'm the only one. What would you say to them to encourage them? Because there's this perception that, sickle cell is not a big deal. In fact, I saw one post that somebody said, after it's like malaria. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of misconception about the virus. So what would you say to people like that?
What I will say is that your life is much more better than any material things, because you can make money, then you could be dead. So you can have money in your hand. What's the use of money if you're dead the next day? So, and plus there's a way you could potentially spread it to other people. You can spread it to people you don't know, and also your family members. So I would advocate that if you are suspected of having it, do not take the risk, because it's not just your life; you're putting other people's lives in jeopardy as well, not just your own. I understand there's certain the dynamics in Nigeria is different to the UK in regards to what's available, what services. But the main thing is that it's not just you that can be affected by this condition if you have it. So it's not a case of just being selfish and saying, well, you know what, I've got to make money. It's the fact that, if one, for example, in the UK, COVID at its worst, one person was affecting 4 people at that time. So one person that has COVID-19, whether they have symptoms or not, whether they suffer the worst, or they have it but they don't have any symptoms at all, they can spread it to 4 other people, and then 4 other people can spread it to 16 other people. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's a thing where if it's not handled correctly, it could be a mass pandemic in Nigeria if people don't take it seriously and say, you know what, if I have this condition. And we have to realize that us being black, this affects us more than European and white Oyinbo populations. It affects us worse. We are dying globally more than any other race of COVID-19. So what we have to do is ensure that for our own progress and and our own Africans' progress, that we keep this under control. Observe and practice social distances. In regards to going off alone and having no support for young people with sickle cell disease, this is why I'm advocating to come over. It's a thing where there's family and there's friends. I'm sure everyone has friends. We're not alone in Nigeria. Okay, there's friends. I will say that talk to friends, talk to family. If you've got children, if you've got cousins, family, make sure that you have an open dialogue. If you've got university friends, school friends, or if you've got college friends, work colleagues, ensure that you talk and you open these dialogues, because I would say that talking is better than doing nothing, and suffer in silence. My biggest thing is break the silence when it comes to, whether it be COVID-19 or whether it be sickle cell disease. make sure we continue the avenues of communication, because one of the main reasons why sickle cell is where it is at the moment in time is because we're not talking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And part of not talking about it breeds ignorance. There's a lot of people that are ignorant when it comes to sickle disease, and then through ignorance breeds stigma.
Stigmatization. Yeah.
Stigma, and then through stigma breeds labeling. You get me? Making people feel as if they're marginalized, and we don't want to go down that route where people feel as if because I have sickle cell disease, I'm going to be seen a different way. And the only way we can combat that is by talking, open dialogue, and by talking we can implement action. And that's what's happening here in the UK, where by so many warriors are talking and are part of the healthcare service, are part of the employment service, that we can put new laws in place to say that if a sickle cell person is sick in work, these are procedures, or these are the procedures that we can put into place to help a child with sickle cell disease in school. This is what to look out for, and that's only been available because people are talking, people are actively campaigning. In Nigeria, I would say if we have a movement, let's say a movement individual saying that, okay, you know what, this is not right, this is what we want, and if you put it to the government, I'm sure they have no choice but to listen. Definitely. And so I think the more voices we can do that, then the more change, likelihood of change. And I think we also need to look up to influential figures, you know, our celebrities, our athletes, our politicians, and try and lobby for change. Yeah, well, I will say if WizKid was to talk about sickle cell, people will listen.
Definitely, I agree with you. It's just getting them to want to. Everything in Nigeria is all about what do you need from me, you know.
Yeah.
I know the struggle we get here. So it's kind of challenging. Yeah. I have two questions from Nike, and she says, my question is that here in Nigeria, the medical practitioners do not really go deep in assuring people like us having proper management. So in a case of a warrior now having COVID-19, what do you advise?
Okay, I'm reading the message now. So the question is that there in Nigeria, our medical practitioners do not really go deep in assuring people to have proper management. Okay, what I will say to you guys, okay, in regards to the whole COVID-19 situation, if you feel as if you do have it or suspected, the first thing you need to do, okay, is first of all, sorry about that. First of all, isolate. First thing is isolate. Go home, isolate. Second thing is you guys have access. Those that do have access to the internet, ensure that you stocked up. Okay, that you research, and then you know your next step. Keep hydrated is another thing. Keep hydrated. Ensure that you have your sickle cell meds as well. You also have your folic acid. Folic acid, you know, if you do have access to penicillin, take your penicillin, and also rest. Rest is a big indicator. Rest, recover, and go to hospital if you can't cope. Do not leave it to chance and hoping that, you know what, I'm going to be better. Don't leave it to hope. Go to hospital if you can't manage at home, and ensure that if you do have suspected to have COVID-19, because there's a 14-day period where you're contagious, stay at home for 14 days to ensure that you're no longer contagious before you venture out or see family.
Okay. So her next question is, do we go to our personal health practitioner or accept to be taken to the general ward? I understand. I see you, Nike. I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll get you to answer it.
They shouldn't really be. They shouldn't be. To me, in regards to COVID, they wouldn't be taken to a general ward at all. They won't be taken to a ward. You will be put in an isolated ward, which is for your own safety and their safety. And like I said, I don't really know the personal dynamics of Nigeria, but I will say
there are isolation centers in different parts. The only challenge is that I think because of the magnitude of the cases, sometimes the NDCC or the people in charge don't get to the people who have COVID or who are reporting COVID on time. We've seen a few cases where people have died before they could be taken to the isolation center. And a lot of people tend to be worried that, okay, if they go to the isolation center, they're not sure whether they originally have it or not. Will they catch it? You know, there's so many ifs and buts going on. So that is a challenge. Yeah.
What I would say, if you're suspected of having COVID-19, then the likelihood of you catching it again from someone else while you're
Mm-hmm.
infected is impossible.
Possible.
So if you're, it's impossible at all. So I don't think the issue is, if you're having symptoms, then it's more than likely that you have COVID-19, definitely. And so I don't think you should be worried about, oh, in case I don't have it, then I could catch it. The issue is you getting tested, and that's what I would advocate. Go get tested. Don't even think about, oh well, I may not have it. The issue is that you're more likely to have it than don't have it. So do what's best and go get tested in these isolation centers. If it's a case where you don't have it, then then you don't have it. But however, I'll rather it's best to get tested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even if you do get tested and catch it later. Even if you do get tested and you don't have it, yeah, and you come back and you get tested, you're gonna find out anyway. You get me? It's no point you staying at home and thinking that, well, I do have these symptoms, but if I go to an isolation center, I definitely may catch it. That's not how it works. It should be a case where you're getting tested. The whole point of getting tested is so that they can treat you. I'm sure they have procedures and ways of how they treat people with COVID in Nigeria. Get the treatment so that you can get better. So that I will say, they won't put you in a general ward. They will put you in isolation, and they will keep you into isolation until you're well enough to go home.
Exactly.
And through all cases, they will have to practice social distancing anyway. So even if you don't have it, and you go to an isolation center, they will have to be practicing social distance. They will have to wear gloves. They will have to have protective wear. So you will be protected anyway. But however, I'm not 100% sure in regards to Nigeria and isolation centers, but it's more than that they're going to be practicing social distance, because I'm sure the doctors don't want to catch it themselves, do they? So
no, they don't.
I would say it's more than likely just go and don't worry about the fact that I may not have COVID-19. That should be the least of your worries. The least of your worries is that, let me get tested. If I don't have it, then let me go home and let me deal with it. If I do have it, then they will know the best course of action to treat me.
Okay, good. I just put a comment by Nafsa. She says, okay, she's referring to, said, but are they willing to, celebrities and politicians? That's the discussion we did earlier. What would you say, how is it with celebrities and politicians in UK when it comes to joining a cause or being a voice for a cause? What has been your experience?
I would say in regards to me and my thing is that I never give up. So if one celebrity says no, I will email them 100 more times. So if one politician says no, I'll email who's above them, who's below them, who's side by side with them. So I'll say that if a number of people do the same thing in regards to talking about sickle cell, then they'll be forced to listen. And that's what happened with my role with the NHS. Like we did our own blood drives, we campaigned to work with them, and through our persistence, they gave us roles working with NHS. And through working with the NHS, we're able to open up shores for other sickle cell warriors as well. So I'll say, be persistent for your journey. Don't ever give up. Make sure that all these politicians, all these celebrities, all these people that are in positions of power, just keep atting them, keep messaging them, keep emailing them, if you have access to their phone numbers, texting, calling. And it's not just you. Make sure you have strength in numbers as well, because the more people to do it, because I'm sure we all know someone that works in the Nigerian government. We all know someone that knows someone that knows someone. So if we get enough presence, if we have enough information, and also it's a thing of the power of social media. If you talk your experiences online, someone else is going to resonate and think, you know what, I'm going through that thing. It's going to be more likely that you're going to encourage someone else to talk, and that other person can encourage someone else to talk. That other person could know a celebrity that's seen their status and be like, okay, cool, I need to talk. I need to bring this up. So I think as if, don't be afraid to tell your story online. Don't be afraid to reach out to these people. Don't be afraid to use your power. Because one thing that I will say is that when it comes to understanding the condition, no one can understand the condition as well as we can. And that's where we have the power in storytelling. That's our power. Storytelling, our power in regards to avocation, in regards to being we're able to articulate ourselves and tell our own individual stories, because not we are not the same when it comes to our experience with sickle cell. But what we can do is that we can all collectively talk for the cause and speak up.
Thank you so much. It's been great having you. Do you have any final words to our warriors out there?
I would say, you know what? I would say at the moment in time, okay, never give up. Never give up. There's been a lot of stigma in regards to Nigeria, in regards to how we live, how we're supposed to live. Keep breaking these stereotypes. Keep breaking the stereotypes. If it comes to a case where I have sickle cell, but however, look at me. Look what I'm able to do. Don't be afraid to brag. Don't be afraid to tell the world that I have sickle cell, but look at me now. Look, I'm strong. So I feel as if there's power in our journey. There's power in actually having sickle cell. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid to tell people who you are. And also, don't be afraid to tell your story, reach out to people and tell these people they need to fix up or they need to change. Don't be afraid of that, because no one else will know unless we keep talking. Simple. And I'll say, in regards to our families, don't be afraid to tell our children, the younger generation. Don't be afraid at all to tell them that this is sickle cell, this is what you need to look out for. You know, when it comes to relationships, don't be afraid to talk and give information out there. And that's the worst that we can do with sickle cell, is not talk about it and not educate ourselves about it. And don't be afraid to say you have sickle cell. Don't be afraid at all, because part of breaking the stigmas is having no shame within ourselves. And we as warriors, we owe a duty to not just ourselves, but to other sickle cell warriors to tell our stories and to change the perception of sickle cell in general. And that's why I really want to come to Nigeria and just say,
please, we'll look forward to having you. Sammy wants to host you.
I want to come to Nigeria. I want to, offer my services, because at the moment in time, there's no education at all. I've read up, there's no education. There's nothing in schools. There's no centers at all in regards to where specific sickle cell warriors come for help and support. I want to bring that over there. But when it comes to liaison with the government, they want money. I'm like, well, aren't you supposed to be giving me money to come there? Because if I'm bringing a service there, then I don't pay you to help you.
That's why we have to come together and do it ourselves.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So so the only way that we can help change improvement is by talking. So don't be afraid of your own power, individual power and collective power. So don't be afraid to know the power that you have. Definitely.
Thank you so much. It's been great having you, and to all our audience who have been up there, thank you for watching us and listening to us. I hope you'll be able to take a thing or two from this discussion. And don't forget, keep safe. COVID-19 is out there. I know some of you in Nigeria are still doubting, but it's real. He's had it for Kaide itself. The experience is not something he will wish on his worst enemy or anything like that. So please, let's try to keep a safe distance. And there was one question I forgot to ask you. Mask wearing. This is an issue. What is your experience with that? Because people always say, okay, if I wear masks, I get hypoxia. If I wear masks, this happens. What is your experience? I know that is one question I was going to ask and I forgot.
Personally, I don't wear masks because I suffer from claustrophobia. So wearing masks, it feels suffocating for me. So I think
for us with sickle cell, we tend to experience that.
But what I will say in regards to the only time I wore mask was when I was going to hospital and when I was leaving from hospital. But however, I don't have to wear mask because I've been staying at home. I'm past the 14-day period. I'm past the 14-day period when it comes to affecting anybody else, anybody catching it from me. But however, I'm also because I've caught COVID-19, I have some form of immunity to catching it again. So there's, even if someone that has COVID is in front of me, if they were to breathe on me, I won't catch it because I've already caught it before and I've already got some form of immunity. Exactly. So I don't need to wear a mask because of that. So I don't really wear masks because to me they're suffocating and they're very uncomfortable. But however, if I didn't catch it before, then I definitely would have to force to wear a mask. So that's my experience.
All right. Then. Once again, thank you for coming on the show. And this has been a production of Sickle Cell Advocacy and Management Initiative. I'm your host, Toyin Adeshola. You can follow us on social media platform, Sami Update, and my personal one, I am Toyin Adeshola. Can you tell us what's your social media for those who want to follow you?
Okay, social media is at SickleCan, so SICKLEKAN, so the SickleCan. And that's with an underscore. That's on Instagram, Twitter. My personal one is Kenny G.
SickleCan_. Did you say
SickleCan? Yeah, so SickleCan and then underscore.
Okay.
My personal one is Kenny G, so KENNYGY2K. So that's my personal. They probably link together. So if you type in Sickle Cell and Kenny G, you'll find me anyway. I also on Facebook as Kehendi Salami. So that's my Facebook. Yeah, and you see a picture of me in my Sickle Cell, Speak Up for Sickle Cell shirt, so you know that's me. I'm also on Instagram and on the SickleCan and Kenny G as well. So yeah, that's how you can find me. And the website is www.sicklecan.com.
Okay. Thank you
Sorry,
once again. It's been great having you. And till our next week, we're going to be having a long week of interviews. And remember, it's World Sickle Cell Day on the June 19th. And I hope you'll be able to use this opportunity to brag about having sickle cell, because let's educate more and more people. This is the period that we have the opportunity where people can hear us. Let's do it with such gusto and all together, so that our voices will be heard as one. So have a lovely, lovely, lovely week ahead. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.